your title is a street journalist. And it's kind of interesting because you said it might be a long-winded answer to describe what I do in this title. Tell me about the title and why it's kind of difficult to you to define what you do.
Yeah, it's you know, so my background, I worked for TMZ for a long time, and the title TMZ gave me, which was kind of it was a camera guy, then they named me a producer, and then but the general public kind of labels you as a paparazzi. I'm running around the streets with a camera. For me, I do primarily video. I don't do still photos. I'm trying to get sound bites and kind of get these guerrilla style interviews with people on the street. So I didn't want to be labeled the word paparazzi because when you say the word paparazzi, there's a stereotype to it. People start to think about what they think the job is like. And I just said, what I do is kind of different than paparazzi. I work with paparazzi, but what I do is I consider myself a street journalist. So I pretty much had to make something different for my LinkedIn, and that's what I did. I just kind of made something like a different title, which makes people question it. But it's funny because it's not even a real title. I just made it up for myself because I think all titles are sort of BS. But then it's
Mhm.
funny. I start to see other people and they label themselves a street journalist. I'm like, guys, do you know I actually made this title up out of nowhere? Like, what is a street journalist? I don't even know what it is. But what I do is I do celebrity interviews on the street that are raw and guerrilla style and just sort of more fun, but majority of the time unplanned. Sometimes they're planned, but majority of the time unplanned.
And tell me about that because this guerrilla approach, it could be construed as intense or abrasive, but it's not. You really have a genuine charisma about you, and I noticed that in some of it because you have, Derek Jeter and Oprah who recognize you and they're willing to talk to you. How do you kind of bring that charisma into your approach? Because when you're on the street, it's less formal. Does that help you in any way?
Yes and no. I mean, it's hard because there's so many cooks in the kitchen. There's, as you know, Jessica, there's like the people in their entourage to try to keep you away from them. I mean, their job is to kind of get them from point A to point B with nothing in their way. Obviously, I'm in their way, but from my experience, and as you know, if you try to reach out to Oprah's people and you said, "Hey, I want to interview Oprah," the first person picking up the phone would say, "Sorry, we're not interested." Click and hang up the phone. But I
Mhm.
realize if I get to them, if I find them, then there's better chances that I will be able to interview them. And I'm fortunate I started at a really good time. When I started was right during that time when like Britney Spears is taking an umbrella and taking it to paparazzi's cars. It was
Mm,
just like a very abrasive
yeah.
time in pop culture and news. And honestly, I didn't know if I felt like a good guy doing the job, but I realized coming from I have a comedy background. I do stand-up comedy. I did it before and I still do it today. I could use that to my advantage. And I would just kind of humanize them. I would just kind of, in some ways, hit on them. I would hit on guys, I hit on girls, and I'd be like, "Yo, what up, my dude?" And try to make it not so fake and corny. It was just
Mhm.
more real. And honestly, it was more about perseverance a little bit. I would make sure that every single time that Oprah was in New York, I would cross paths with her. I would make sure every single time Shaquille O'Neal was in New York, Kim Kardashian was in New York, I would cross paths with them somehow where they would start to see my face and recognize me. And then they would start to realize, hey, he's not a bad guy.
Mhm.
He's not there to hurt me. And the questions I'm asking, majority of the time, I would say 99% of the time, it's not tough questions. Most of these people haven't done anything wrong or bad. I'm not trying to do clickbait. I'm just trying to make them fun, funny, interesting,
Mhm.
and make a good, walk away with something from the interview. And it's funny for me, you watch these interviews, like in the background, I have like the morning shows on. You watch these interviews and nothing against them, but to me, they're not a real interview. It's
Mhm.
fake. And as you know, they're pre-rehearsed. The questions are already done in advance. The
Surface
answers are kind of
level. Surface.
pre-planned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so corny. So for me, I just think visually people want to see how these people really are and where you get them in New York. And I just think it makes them more fun visually. I don't know. I just believe in that kind of media. So I just kind of keep doing it. I've been doing it for 14 years now, 13 years around there. So I enjoy it. It's
Yeah.
fun.